Did you know that in a quiet corner of Arkansas, a white-only community is being built right now, with plans to grow even bigger? Previously, I sat down with the founder, Eric, to understand why he's doing this and what his vision really is. In this next segment, we go even deeper, uncovering his true ambitions, his beliefs, and what he ultimately wants this place to become. So at some point, we have to find a way to deal with each other, and we will deal with each other.
If I was black, I would be building a black community.
I knew that I wanted to be where the demographics were wider.
Black pride is good. Asian pride is good. Jewish pride is good. White pride, oh, that's hate speech.
All right, guys, we are continuing a little bit of the chat here, and so this is somebody's home, right? I believe there's no basements here.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Or is the ground allows for basements, or?
It's possible. It's a little more expensive, obviously.
Okay.
So.
All right. Sounds good. So a home like this, how much is somebody looking at? How many bedrooms and bathrooms?
Well, I think that's like a three bedroom home.
Okay.
I want to say.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it cost probably $80,000 just in construction expenses.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yep.
And you were recently in Orania. Guys, Orania is a white-only community in South Africa. And based on your video, you were very pumped up. It seemed like you got a lot of motivation coming out of that area.
Yeah.
What is it that you learned from there that you want to bring over here?
Well, I had never been in a community, besides this one here, that was intentionally around their shared European identity. And so mostly I got the sense of what that spirit looks like. I think that used to be the way everyone more or less was. They were part of a larger spirit, a larger mind.
Yeah.
And I got tapped into that. I also saw just how developed their infrastructure was, how intelligently they organized, how orderly the whole society was, how clean everything was, and I was just impressed. I think they had done an amazing job given the constraints of their resources. I was impressed by the average intelligence as well.
Yeah.
I think Orania selects for not just average Afrikaners, but those who are industrious and intelligent and able to, commit to a vision, not just this is the easiest economic choice for me, so I'm going to go for it. Mm-hmm. So it was just very encouraging. I loved a lot of the people I met there. They gave us very good access, so I spoke with many people on their various councils and governing boards. And it was just a great experience.
And what do you say to people who have been to Orania or know about Orania? They might be Black Americans or South Africans who say, well, that's a racist place. The whites came in, took the best part of our country. Now they're separating themselves. They have the most amount of money. And we are suffering. We're living in townships. And matter of fact, they are from Europe and they came over here and took our land. What do you say to those people?
Well, I would say that most Black South Africans actually moved to South Africa after the Afrikaners. Mm-hmm. When the Afrikaners moved in, it was mostly, I believe, the Khoisan, were the indigenous Black people of South Africa. Mm-hmm. And as the Afrikaners and the British built up economic opportunities, there were huge levels of immigration from the rest of Africa. And I don't buy that, Africa belongs to the Black race collectively. I don't think that's how ownership works, right? So people moved into South Africa looking for opportunities. So it's kind of the reverse. It's like the Afrikaners and British and indigenous Khoisan, I guess, built the country to be what it became. And then other sub-Saharan Africans moved into the country looking for opportunities. Also, Orania, it's not like they took the best part of the country, it's the desert. They're in the middle of the desert, totally isolated, and they bought it fair and square. They formed an association, a corporation. They're doing something kind of similar to the way we've structured ours. And they've built everything themselves. So you can't say they're taking opportunities away from anyone else. Like, in what sense are the Oranians taking opportunities away from Black South Africans? There was nothing there before they got there. They bought the remnants of this old town. that was built as the dams were being constructed on the Orange River. So there was a little bit of existing infrastructure, but they purchased it in the early 90s or late 80s, and they've built up most of what's there themselves through their own labor. There are other places in South Africa where people can buy homes and build up homes. And so, like what we're doing here, nothing was here before we got here. You know, no one had built a home on this land ever. So it's not like we're taking opportunities away from anyone else, you know?
Yeah. South Africa is suffering from apartheid. And for many, Orania is a return to apartheid to some degree. And, you know, Nelson Mandela and all those people who have fought for racial equality in South Africa, you know, is just a semblance of, you know, black people are the most oppressed in South Africa today. Lack of opportunities, financials, and stuff like that. So I've read so much about Orania that most black people feel very uncomfortable with this idea of just self-seclusion is one thing, but just putting so many rules to make sure that nobody black can work here, can live here, can go to school here, no matter what. For many, is another form of apartheid. So to hear you say you admire Orania, I just want you to kind of elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't think it is racist to do your own thing and build up your own people. For me, racism is about the hatred of other groups. And, you know, the Iranians actually do benefit nearby towns. They contribute to the power grid with their solar generators. They actually help with policing as well. They keep the area safe, and largely on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
I also don't agree that black South Africans are especially discriminated against. That was the case under apartheid, but apartheid ended in the early 90s. And today, it is actually white South Africans who are legally discriminated against in employment. They have, like we have affirmative action here, they have that to a much stronger degree. So a white person, unless they're already wealthy, has a very hard time getting a job. There are government jobs that are only available to black South Africans. So I would say the legal discrimination goes the other way. Of course, there's a lot of historical inequity, you might say, and the white South Africans tend to be more wealthy, as do the Indian South Africans, who are now a large minority. But yeah, fundamentally, I don't think it is harming anyone else for us to build our own communities and do our own thing. And I think that having a mentality that, you know, the black community can't thrive on their own independently, that we have to, like, for example, get reparations in the US for equality to be achieved, I think that is not an empowering mentality. I think the black community would be better off if it sought to do bold new things together, collectively, not dependent on anyone else or asking for anything from anyone else, but to say, you know, black Americans, that's a unique identity. Only black people in America have this shared experience. They have their own culture they've produced. So let them create their own communities and let those communities flourish. I think there are real differences, and I think that when people are allowed to build societies for their mutual well-being, everyone will be lifted up. Aristotle says the purpose of the city is really the virtue of the individual. You know, I think our nature is improved when we are surrounded by people who are constantly pushing us to be better. And no one wants us to be better more than other people who share the same ancestral background, our family, our larger kin. You know, so I think we should surround ourselves with people who automatically have some degree of consanguinity and love because of that, and understanding, and that tailor a society to conform to their unique characteristics. Again, like, you can believe that we're all blank slate, that everyone's basically the same. When I look at the science of it, when I just anecdotally look at the way people are, that's not what I believe. So acting according to my beliefs and what I would recommend to other people, if everyone builds a society matching their own nature, reaffirming their own nature, then we will all thrive, and no one has to take anything away from anyone else. We're not taking anything from Black Americans by building this here. Black Americans wouldn't be harming us by building their own communities anywhere they want.
Okay, so that sounds really good, right? But here's the problem that, I see a little bit in what you're saying. We don't live in separate worlds. We all live in the US. There are black cops, there are white cops. And when you live in the world where black people are more likely to be pulled over, more likely to be incarcerated and have harsher sentences for the same crime committed by a white person, some people have a real problem with with that situation. So we're not living in, if we were just living in separate worlds, it would be fine. But as we stand right here, I don't know if you disagree with this, black people are more likely to have harsher sentences, be pulled over more often, and they get incarcerated for longer for the same exact crimes that white people commit. So at some point we have to find a way to deal with each other, and we will deal with each other, because you might get pulled over by a black officer. You don't control who gets hired in the local department here.
Right, that's true. But in our own community, we can have our own security, which will actually save the state money. Like we're building our own roads, we can provide our own security. So that means the local cops, the local highway department doesn't have to do as much for us. We're not taking from the taxpayers as much as other people would. So we can have our own policing in our own communities by people who aren't going to discriminate against us. Many black people would prefer that they had interactions with black police officers because they'll trust them more. Many black people feel that way. And I would say, let them. If they have black communities, let them have their own black security officers. I think that would be a win-win for everyone. In general, I don't necessarily agree statistically. When you control for recidivism, like repeat offenders, the seeming disparity goes away. More black men commit more crimes over time and are repeatedly arrested. And so that's why when you look at sentencing, it seems like it's harsher. But in general, when someone is a repeat offender, they get a harsher sentence. So again, I could be wrong. This is kind of a scientific question, and it's sort of irrelevant to our point. My point is, if you have your own community with your own standards, with your own security, with your own stuff, then you don't have to worry about that inequity because you're building it up for yourself. And I think black Americans are perfectly capable of doing that. If anything, I would like to see the government help black people who want to build their own communities build them. I think the government could, because again, it's subsidizing our infrastructure at the communal level. So we are building the roads, we are paying for our own amenities. The government doesn't have to pay for it. I think it's more efficient, just from the government's perspective, to interact with self-sufficient communities that are providing their own things. So maybe it could be a win-win even with the government. The government can provide assistance to get these communities started. That reduces their expenses in the long run. And also communities never have to complain about disparate treatment or anything like that again, because they're looking after their own.
So do you believe there's racism in the United States?
Oh yeah, of course. Big
Okay.
time. But I tend to define racism as hatred towards other groups. I think there's racism on the part of all races towards all other races. There are white racists, there are black racists. So
What is it that makes a difference between a racist and like you? For someone watching and say, he's racist, 100%.
well, it's about whether there's hatred towards the other group or not. I want to have love for all people, and I want to see them flourish. I want to see them do well. My belief is that they will do better if they're in homogeneous communities. So because I believe that, and because I have love for all people, I want to see people living in homogeneous communities. That doesn't mean that I hate them. That means I want what I believe is best for them.
Let's say you get elected to political office. Are we going back to separate but equal?
People are allowed to be separate if they want. They're allowed to be integrated if they want. I think it's up to what people want to build. America is built on freedom, and I don't think we should be telling people what their communities ought to look like.
And what do you say to people who feel like because of slavery and separate but equal and all the civil rights and all the issues that black Americans face, Black Americans are behind due to racism and segregation and everything else from the past. What do you say to those people? Like, we need more. This country has a tremendous amount of opportunities, but many people are struggling, and they would tell you, well, I'm a victim of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's because my grandparents were not allowed to go to school, that we live in this area, and I just don't have as much opportunity as a white kid. And I need the government to help me out.
Yeah, I get that perspective. I don't think it is an empowering mentality. I think that perspective itself does people harm, and they don't accomplish as much as they could if they had the idea that there is unlimited possibility for me and no one's going to hold me back. Those mentalities can coexist in the same person. You can believe that you've been historically oppressed and also say, I'm going to overcome it. And that's great. But I think that mentality that we have to correct historical injustice is the same mentality behind blood feuds and what's going on with like the Israelis and Hamas. Each side believes that they have been oppressed and wronged, and they keep fighting each other perpetually. So have Black Americans been historically oppressed by white Americans? Yeah, of course. Slavery was oppression, right? But since then, have white Americans paid in some sense with affirmative action, DEI policies, a net tax redistribution where white people have been net taxpayers for the last however long, 70 years or more, and like Black Americans have been net tax recipients. There's subtleties to that argument. I think that both sides can say, we have given enough or we have been oppressed enough. And I would rather say, let's just make a system that works for everyone and not worry about, but was this corrected and was this corrected? Because if you never let go of the past, you're going to have blood feuds. You're going to have groups fighting forever over the past.
Right.
And I think we have enough opportunities in the present day where the government can facilitate Black communities being created that will benefit Black people. They can, I think more localism, just more community. People are too alienated, isolated. That's a big part of our economic problems. In the past, whole family units worked together, but the family's been broken up, and especially in the Black community, and that's a big part of the poverty issue there. So if the government can help build community, whether it's Black community or integrated community or white community, the more the government can build up community, I think the more prosperous everyone will be. And that's the core objective here. It's like, if I was Black, I would be building a Black community, And I think we can let go of the past and just try to get our government to serve the local communities that really need help.
Okay, so I take it you're against affirmative action and against DEI policies.
Yeah, I think that we should have a system that treats everyone equally, but no, there's subtlety there, right? I don't think it's one size fits all. I think it's allow people equal freedom, right? You have a right to do your own thing. You don't have a right to someone else's labor, right? That's not a right. So I think the government should give people equal rights and treat people equally on that basis. And it should allow people, and in some cases help people, building social solutions to problems that work for them in their own environment according to the nature of their own culture.
Yeah. Okay. On my flight here, I met a lady. She was white, and we started talking. She said, "Why are you going to Memphis?" And I told her I was meeting you, and she knew who you were. She said she likes what you're doing. She's like, "I like what Eric is doing. It is so hard being white these days." So it might come to a shock to a lot of non-whites to hear a white person, because, a lot of people believe in, there's something called white privilege and everything else. Is it hard being white these days?
Well, I mean, we do have legal discrimination against whites in this country in the form of affirmative action. Fortune 500 companies, I think, hired like only 5% white men in recent numbers, as far as I've seen. And that is disproportionate compared to their achievement. Like, white men do pretty well in school. They're not the highest achievers. Asians do better than white men. But according to their numbers, according to their educational attainment and job performance metrics that we do have, you would expect far more white men to be hired in these corporations, but they're not. And that's because of discrimination. So, I mean, is it hard to be white? If I wanted to succeed in the mainstream economy, my race would be somewhat of an impediment. You know, historically, recently, I think this was overturned, where now schools are not allowed to discriminate on the basis of race. But in the past, you know, a black man who got a SAT score of 1200 would be chosen over a white man who got an SAT score of 1400. You know, it's like your scores were boosted because you came from a disenfranchised community. That was the logic. So is it harder, therefore, to be white? Well, yeah, I mean, there was a handicap placed on white people in order to correct the scales. That was the logic. On the other hand, do white people on average come from more affluent backgrounds? Yes, and that's an advantage that they have because their ancestors built up that wealth. And who else is going to receive that wealth but their descendants? So, yeah, I would say I don't feel especially discriminated against myself. Even in California, you know, I felt it to some degree. I felt, you know, that I was judged for being a white man because the narrative of history that we get about slavery or civil rights or like World War II, you know, people would look at me and say, hey, you look like the Nazi posters, right? And like, I didn't like that. I didn't like being painted as the villain just because of how I looked, how I was born. However, it wasn't that much of a, like, I don't feel really held back because of it. I don't have any big problem today feeling discriminated against. I would rather just be allowed. I don't need compensation for anyone because of my oppression, which has been very minimal, right? We have all been oppressed by circumstance in ways that we're not glad about. So I say get over it and build something yourself. I want to be free to build my own thing. I don't need anything from the government to correct any historical wrongs against my people.
Right.
Again, and I think, you know, maybe there's even a stronger case that some black Americans have been oppressed more than I have. I don't want to play that game of weighing who's more oppressed. I think that's the huge problem with the left in America today. That's the idea of intersectionality itself, right? Where, okay, which group in the oppression hierarchy should be, you know, treated more seriously, or whose voice should be heard. And I just think, again, it's the mentality of the blood feud. It's the mentality of being wrapped up in the past instead of thinking about how we can actually benefit everyone today.
Okay. I had a chance to visit your Telegram page, not yours, but for the community, Return to the Land. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, we need to take our country back. You know, that thing. And it's always funny. I've always wanted to ask this to someone like you. If white Americans are saying we need to take the country back, meanwhile, white America basically controls America. Take the country back from whom exactly? Who has taken away the white man power?
Yeah, I don't think that white Americans, white Gentile Americans are really the most influential group anymore.
No?
Because our billionaires who are influential don't think about our group. They're not out to benefit white Americans in particular. You know, even Trump, people say he's a racist, but I've never heard him talk about how he's benefiting white Americans.
Yeah.
He'll talk about how he's benefiting black Americans or women or whatever disenfranchised group. He'll brag about that, but he'll never say that he's out to benefit ordinary white people. So we really don't have political representatives. There's a congressional black caucus. There is no congressional white caucus. And you could say we don't need it because we're the majority, but we're a dwindling majority. I mean, it's getting pretty close to 50-50 now, 50% white, non-Hispanic. So I think that white people feel unrepresented. We don't have people who are championing our cause or our people. The Jews have that.
Yeah.
You know, black Americans do have that. They have black community leaders. And people say that's a good thing. You know, they should have a sense of the black community. Black pride is good. Asian pride is good. Jewish pride is good. White pride, oh, that's hate speech. You know, I think that's kind of the double standard that has been applied. And largely, you know, the other elite group beyond white Gentiles has been, over the last 100 years, Jewish Americans who are very prosperous. They're hardworking, they're creative, they're intelligent. It's not because they're, you know, I don't think Jews are inherently evil or anything, But are their interests at odds with the white Gentile majority? Historically, they have been to some extent. Like, who wrote Martin Luther King's speeches? Who pushed for these DEI policies? Who created critical race theory? Why are these changes happening? Largely, it was driven by Jewish intellectuals and Jewish donors. And I think, Israeli money has influenced, or AIPAC money has influenced our politicians to go into wars that didn't benefit us. I think largely America has been kind of hijacked by foreign interests, largely, but not only Jewish interests.
Okay. So you don't think the president is a good representative for your cause? Because driving here, there's a lot of President Trump flag. I mean, all over the place. I was driving, I just couldn't stop every time, but there's a lot of his flags around. And I feel like he does a really good job speaking to blue-collar white Americans. And that's a huge portion of his, more and more blacks have voted for him this last election than the first one. But I'm a little bit surprised that you don't think that he's a good representative for your cause, for example.
I understand why people like him, and I voted for him. I would vote for him again if he could run again. I think he's done more for white Americans than any other president in my lifetime, by far. However, he will never say that explicitly. He's very good at the dog whistle. He'll say things that resonate with the white majority base that he appeals to, and he always has since 2016 or 2015. But he's not going to be explicit about it and say, I support white America. I want to benefit white America. He just doesn't go there. He's never explicit with it. So in that sense, we don't have explicit representation in the way that, the Black Caucus, the Black Congressional Caucus, that is explicit representation for Black people. AIPAC is explicit representation for Jewish interests. We don't have that explicit representation in the way that other groups do.
So you would like, let's say, a White History Month, something like that?
No, I don't want the government to dole out favors like that. I think we should. It's our job. The problem is that white Americans have not organized because we've always been the majority. We just took that for granted and assumed that what the government does is automatically going to be in our interest because we're a democracy, or rather a republic. But as the country has changed, our mentality is not adapted. I think white Americans should organize and lobby for their own interests, just like every other group does. We should have a congressional white caucus. I don't care about the History Month. I don't care about any handout or anything like that. But white people should organize in their own interest to make sure that, we're at least given equal treatment, that we're not discriminated against through affirmative action and other policies.
Guys, we are heading to talk to someone else here. He's excavating right now, trying to get more information. So this is a big lot over here. Wow. It's a big lot. This is gonna be just talking to someone else, how long they've been living here, how they like it and stuff like that. So we're just walking. He's currently excavating. I believe this is gonna be a pond, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a pond. Okay. Right on. And homes are only built after everything has been done. You don't build in advance and then have people move in.
Yeah, no, people who move down here are building. Now, they could have it built in advance of moving if they wanted to, but they would be paying for it, developing it themselves.
Okay.
We don't develop homes for people.
For people, okay, right on. Right on. All right, guys, so I have another gentleman here. Your name is?
Scott.
Scott, how long have you been living here?
2 years.
2 years. How do you like it?
I love it.
Why?
Because it's like playing Valheim in real life.
Yeah.
You can terraform it out here, build stuff. I don't know. It's great.
Where'd you live before?
I was about 4 hours north. I was in Missouri. I had a small farm.
Okay.
And it's definitely not farmland out here, but well, we can turn it into some farmland. And,
yeah.
It's a property that needs a lot of work,
Right.
but it was perfect for us because we had the labor and we can get it done.
Right. What do you say?
playing that thing.
Oh, he does. So you are building or already built your own home, right?
Yes, I do have a house up front, so
Yeah.
it's not completely finished. I need a lot more space. I got 6 kids, so I gotta build I don't know, another 1,000 square feet to fit my family. But it works for now.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just focusing on land clearing. This is going to be a pond here, so
Yeah.
right now I'm scouting out where we want to build the dam, and we'll have, we wanted to do a 10-acre pond. It's probably going to be a 5-acre pond, but
Yeah.
we'll stock it with fish, and we'll have a fountain and aerator so the pond stays nice. And
Yeah. Why move to a white-only community? What prompted you to move over here?
I just saw the demographics were changing where I was at, and it was changing very fast. We had like a huge Hispanic population moving in, and they didn't speak English, so it's not like I'm gonna bond, with these people. There's no sense of community if you don't have any kind of shared culture. You don't even share the same language, and so yeah, I knew that I wanted to be where the demographics were whiter. I mean, some will think that's racist, but it's just where I felt more comfortable, and yeah, here we can do that.
Yeah. I live in a predominantly black area, and my interaction with my neighbors is very limited. And I think it's a very American model where, people don't really talk to their neighbors, whether they're black or white. So for you to move, because there were, a lot of different people coming in, I question how many people in America actually go to their neighbors. We have kind of like a respectful distance to our neighbors. We make sure they're not our friends, they're just our neighbors, right? So you being here next to Eric, it doesn't mean that he's going to invite you every Christmas, right? I mean, that's just the reality of the things. That's how that works, right? So some people might think that's kind of weird, right? Or racist.
Yeah. So here we have intentional community. Everyone here has that sense of wanting to have community. And so, yeah, I didn't have that with my neighbors where I was before, but here I have that. It's we're joining a community of other people that want community and that feel that sense of that something's missing. Like when you don't talk to your neighbors, it feels wrong. That's not how we're supposed to live.
So it's not because you had something against others. You just wanted to be more around people just like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we'll get along better. We'll have more in common. We'll have stronger bonds.
Do you think America is on the wrong path or the right path when it comes to diversity and inclusion?
I don't know. I definitely don't see it. It's not improving. Like the country's definitely not improving. Race relations seem to be getting worse, don't they? So maybe the whole melting pot thing wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Right. And what do you say to people who would think you moving here, you are racist? Because that's inevitable, right?
Yeah, maybe I would have cared a long time ago, but I've heard it so much that it just doesn't faze me.
Yeah. So you have kids.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go to school in the area?
No, they're all homeschooled.
They're homeschooled.
We homeschool.
Okay. How does that work here?
It's very easy. Arkansas, you just have to register them once a year for homeschool, and the state isn't very. They're not nosy on like what you teach your kids, so you can, teach them the curriculum that you want, and yeah, it's one of the more the easier states to homeschool in, Arkansas.
Right.
That was one of the things we were looking for was good homeschool laws that are friendly towards homeschooling.
And you feel safer here, of course.
Oh yeah, it's very safe here. I've left like thousands of dollars worth of tools up front by the road for months at a time, and nobody's even tempted to to take it. So
Yeah.
yeah, very safe.
Very safe. Okay. Any final thing you want to share to people about life here? Because this is very different than what most people are used to or even heard of. Some people have never heard of white-only community in 2025 in America. That's very unique.
Well, it's a lot of fun out here. Just returning to the land, and it's just raw land, you know. So it's rough living, you know. Most people don't have air conditioning or modern conveniences yet. You know, we will, you know, build those things.
Oh, no AC yet, huh? Just have ventilation.
Some people have AC, whether they're on a generator or solar. Some of the guys are on solar. I'm on the grid up front, so I'm gonna have AC. But
Okay.
I also have 28,000 BTU AC in my excavator.
And you were in the military before, right?
Yes, I was in the Navy.
Navy. Okay. How long ago?
15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your service.
Oh,
And thanks for
problem.
chatting up. All right. So you work for yourself or?
Yeah, right now I'm just doing excavation. I will probably sell the excavator at some point and figure out something else to do.
Yeah.
But for now, mostly excavation.
Yeah. You know, they always talk about construction and the need for foreign workers. And you come here, and I've been checking out the pictures, and you see white people building their own homes, you know, doing their own work, doing electrician work and everything else. So I think it's something that a lot of people would appreciate, because it seems like people say, well, you get rid of immigrants, it's going to be hard to build these homes. But you guys are proving exactly the opposite, that you are willing to get your hands dirty and do everything on your own.
Yeah, most guys actually didn't have any experience in these things, and we're just kind of teaching ourselves and learning as we go. So it'd be nice to get some families out here that, you know, have decades of trade experience. That'd be nice.
You guys are doing your own plumbing, electrical work and all that?
Yeah, we're doing that. I'm actually doing the electric right now in my house. That's not something I knew how to do before.
You learned right here?
Yeah. Because some of the other guys know electrical, and I've learned from them.
Yeah.
Learned framing from the other guys, and some plumbing. Yeah, everyone's learning a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
A lot of useful trade skills.
So really no need to call for external help?
Yeah. We needed an external drill to drill wells, and I think really that's all we've needed so far. We don't have anyone with well drilling equipment. If it wasn't for that, yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And roofing, that's different. You guys are doing roofing, everything, top down.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Doing everything.
It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. So guys, I hope you see, I'm a black man here in the woods with these two gentlemen. There's nothing wrong, you know. Some of you guys might feel like they are racist, but quite frankly, I'm not saying this for the camera. These are the nicest, you know, people I've met, you know, very welcoming and willing to answer my questions and stuff, you know, so really appreciate that. Anything else you want to share with anyone about life here, or what they may not know that they should know about life here?
I don't think so. Just come on down, have a lot of fun, clear some land. I don't know.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thank you.
No problem.
All right. I'm going to be honest, Eric. I was scared coming here. You know, I tried to bring friends, so I'm not by myself. And everybody was like, oh my God, you're crazy. But you have been extremely kind. Guys, regardless of how you feel about what he's saying, you know, I like the openness. I like the conversation. I like the fact that he's willing and comfortable. When I asked him, is there anything you don't want me to ask you? He said, you can ask me anything. So there's not many people like that, you know, that are open. And I think that we may disagree on some points, but the fact that he's open to share his views right here on YouTube, you know, really thank you so much. You know, you didn't have to do this at all, and you did. So I really, really appreciate that. Is there anything that you want to tell black people who are going to be watching this and say, this guy is a racist, he's the KKK, white supremacist, whatever, we don't like him? Ivan, why did you even go talk to this guy? What do you have to say to people who think just like that?
I want black people to thrive in America. I want all groups to thrive. Now, I believe that people are more successful when they're surrounded by people who share the same background, who automatically kind of love them just because of who they are. So because I think that's healthy, that's what I want for my kids, that's what I want for your kids. I think we should all be encouraged to do our own thing. Now, if you disagree with me, that's fine. I'm open for that discussion. You know, I could be wrong. If someone proves that a multiracial society ends up being healthier, then I'll consider that. But when I look at the data, like, I'm very data driven. I'm very kind of scientific, or I try to be. So when I believe something is true, immediately I want to act on that. You know, so I think that what's best for people is to build their own communities and think about their own nature and improve their own nature and surround themselves by people who also want to share in that nature. That's my perspective. Again, I want the best for everyone else too. I think really Black Americans, we have a unique culture. They have a unique culture here that deserves to be explored, not just washed out with everyone else and blended together until there's nothing left of it. You know, I think unique cultures, different perspectives, that's what makes life beautiful. The kingdom of life diversifies always. And so we should allow ourselves to diversify, which means I want you to do well and to go your own way if you want, or if you want to mix and create something new, you can do that. I still want the best for you. But I want to be allowed to do what I believe is right as well.
Any chance that as you grow, maybe you have some picnics where Blacks are allowed to come here and check out the amazing neighborhood you're building, or is this going to be restricted to come in?
No, I mean, you're my guest here today, and yeah, people who are not white are welcome as guests here. It's just you have to be invited by someone who lives here, you know.
Okay.
So reach out.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right. I have to say, guys, he was very nice, very welcoming, very open. I think you don't have to agree with everything he's saying, but I respect it, and I respect his willingness to share it, especially on a public platform. So for those of you that agree with him, check out his YouTube channel. He has a lot more content out there. And for those of you who don't agree, let me know in the comments why you don't agree and what you don't agree with. He's aware that he may not be right about everything, and he's willing to be challenged. So bring the facts. I hope with this conversation to bring more dialogue, not to create more division. It's to share more light, not to create more confusion. And understand, you may want to stay in your own community without necessarily being a racist. You know, because I look around where I live, you know, Africans like to be around Africans, Black Americans like to be around Black Americans, Chinese like to be around Chinese people. I mean, I think that that's human nature. So he is not a white supremacist. He does not believe in race superiority. He did highlight that we are different. That's the truth, you know. So again, I don't agree with everything he said, but I really, really respect, you know, what he stands for, and he's willing to do something about it. So I think instead of people getting angry, it's good to, you know, maybe organize ourselves and do something good, and do something without relying on the government, and take advantage of the opportunities that we do have around us. So that's what it is. All right, so now I'm on my way back to Memphis.
We hustle backwards, call it coaching. That's confusion, screaming freedom, but addicted to illusions. We kill our own for a chain and dimension. Sell trauma for life.
So guys, this is the spot where MLK was assassinated. The street is 306. Everything happened right here, and they kept everything exactly the same. It is now a civil rights museum right there, and you see it attracts a lot of people, you know, coming here and visit and paying their respect to Martin Luther King. So to conclude this entire series, I wanted to point out some of the thoughts that I have. I had a chance to drive around South Memphis, which is the most dangerous part of Memphis, right? And I stopped by the cookie place where the young rapper by the name of Young Dolph was unfortunately assassinated. Hello guys, in my vlog with Eric, we talked about violence and how it shapes communities, destroys opportunities, and I couldn't think of a better place to come and end this vlog than here in Makita's homemade cookie. Alright, this is unfortunately the place where the local rapper from Memphis, known by the name of Young Dolph, was assassinated. It was right here at Makita's Homemade Butters Cookies. All right, so this is where everything took place. It's been exactly 4 years to the day, and you can still see, you know, people have left sign like RFP Dolph and things like that. All right, so this is unfortunately the area where everything took place. He came over here to buy some cookies. All right, it was one of his favorite bakery, one of the best in the area, and he was unfortunately shot as soon as he walked out of here. So again, South Memphis, where I'm at right now, is one of the most violent places here in Memphis. But I wanted to come over here and kind of underline the unfortunate things that are happening in our communities, which is violence. So I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. Rest in peace to Young Dolph. He was assassinated in November 2021. So it's been exactly 4 years to the day since that happened. Can you talk to me about life out here, about this place, about Young Dolph? Anything you're willing to share?
I'm gonna put it like this in my own perspective. Everybody like coming here.
Yeah.
Shit, dog. I'ma say I ain't get along with him, but everybody else did. But everybody say he was cool and shit.
Yeah.
Everybody say he was straight.
Yeah.
Everybody say he was alright.
Yeah.
Me, I don't fuck with him.
Why?
I never did.
If you don't mind me asking, why didn't you like him?
I just never did.
Why is that?
I grew up where he came from, but nah, I just never liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music or him personally?
Personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you knew him?
I came from the same apartment he came from.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh.
Can't stay apart.
For most
yeah.
of us, we only know the music, bro. So can you tell us exactly what is it about him that maybe you didn't like?
I can say his music.
You what?
Yeah, I can say his music.
What does that mean?
His music. His music.
Oh, his music. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but everybody fuck with him out here though.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody fuck with his music out here and shit.
Yeah. I wanted to grab some cookies. Unfortunately, it's closed today.
Yeah, they open on Mondays.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Anything else you want to share for people watching this who've never been here or maybe will never come to this neighborhood or Makitas?
I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna tell y'all this. Y'all can come here. Y'all can come here. Y'all can get a lot of cookies though. I ain't gonna front. They cook, hey, I ain't gonna lie. They cookies good though. Them jump bang. You know what it is, man.
Yeah. All right, bro.
Bang.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Nice to meet you, brother. I appreciate you. All right. If you enjoyed the vlog, kindly hit that like button, subscribe, and rest in peace, Young Dolph. He made records basically on his own without any major label behind him. He has tremendous amount of hits like Preach, 100 Shots, Major, and much more. I'm a big Young Dolph fan. And about 4 years ago in November 2021, he walked into a cookie shop and he was buying some cookies, and unfortunately he was murdered and shot right in front of the store. I went to the cemetery and tried to visit where his final resting place is. I came to the cemetery to pay my respect, but the office, you know, they told me that Young Dolph's grave is unmarked and the family did not want people visiting it. So there's no way for me to locate it. She said it's unmarked, so yeah, it is what it is. Memphis is one of the most violent cities in the United States. So much so that the president has extended his federal forces here in order to assist local law enforcement in order to apprehend and reduce crime. Whether you agree with his method or not, that's a method for the president in order to help reduce crime in major cities around the United States. So, after my conversation with Eric, I just wanted to point out a few things. First of all, you don't have to agree with everything Eric is saying. I do believe that some people have very strong opinions either for or against what Eric is doing. But we have to be honest with ourselves. In order to get along with the other groups, in order to get along with other races, we have to get along with ourselves. And I drove around Memphis and I saw so many guys standing in a corner with hoodies. You know they're having guns, you know, and most of this crime is black on black crimes. And it's unfortunate. And for people say, well, they lack opportunity, they lack jobs. America is the best country for opportunities in the world. Guys, I've been around Asia, Europe, Africa, Latin America, you name it. I've hit just about every continent, and I've gone to a lot of freaking countries. And I realized, yeah, another place might seem peaceful, another place might seem more fun, another place might feel like it has maybe even more freedoms, individual freedoms. But when it comes to opportunities, there's no better place in the world than the United States of America. Despite the divisions, despite what some people may perceive as racism, despite what we perceive as inequality, there's no better place in the world to seek employment and to be gainfully employed and make as much money as you could than the United States, whether you're black, white, yellow, or purple. So this is just to say, I'm hoping that as we move forward, instead of focusing more on what another group is doing for themselves, we take a look inward and what we're doing for ourselves. And it's very unfortunate that as I'm standing here, black home ownership is going down. And now with the end for many schools of affirmative action and employment, seeking people by merit and not by color, that people who are minorities, black, yellow, whatever, continue to seek higher education, move away from crime. I don't believe that being poor means you have to end up as a criminal. I don't believe that being poor means your only path to success is crime. I don't believe that. I believe that if you want, at some point you need to have individual responsibility. You can't always blame the other side. You can't always say, well, it's because my grandparents were slaves. Because not everybody that grew up in this kind of environments ends up in crime. Not everybody that grew up in this type of environments ends up committing horrible, horrible acts of violence against other people. I believe that there's a way, if you really want to succeed in this country, no matter where you came from. Some of the most successful African Americans in the United States came from extremely poor families, and they fought hard, they hustled, they educated themselves, and they made it to the top, you know? So I'm glad that Eric was open to discuss what he's doing. I think most races generally want to be among themselves. When you look at a state like where I live in Maryland, we have Latino neighborhoods, we have predominantly Asian areas, we have predominantly African American areas, we have predominantly black areas. So do you agree with what Eric is doing, or do you think is the face of racism? Let me know in the comments below. I'm very thankful that he was willing to discuss it with me. I think that as people, we have bigger issues to deal with ourselves than to worry about what they're doing up there in Arkansas and God continue to do for themselves. It is time for us as black people to organize ourselves, to be better, and to do what we need to do in order to also get to the top. I don't think Eric, whatever he's doing, is impacting me. I don't think that is impacting you. And people who want to live over there, that is their choice, that is their right. And I believe that, you know, we as blacks can also do the same thing. Because Eric personally, he's doing whatever he thinks is right, and we have the freedom to do the same thing. You know, we can do better, especially the inner youth here in the cities like in Memphis. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the content. I hope you learned at least a couple of things. This is, I would say, the scariest video and one of the most interesting video I've ever shot. And if you agree with me and you learned at least one thing, or at least it generated some kind of debate, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and from the beautiful city of Memphis, I will see you guys later. Peace.
Streets talk, and they talking blood, saying don't trust love.
If it's your first time on the channel, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome to Murder Town. Memphis ain't sleeping. Dreams get shot down. Sirens still preaching. Yeah, it's the real South. Ain't no secret. From Beale Street lights to them corners that's bleeding. Yeah. Every man got choices, live fast, die slow. Either find a lane or the streets say go. Ain't no handouts, just hunger and hate. And the judge don't smile when he seal your fate. Youngins wear pain like they wear new kicks. Lost innocence traded for extended clips.